Are you eating protein every day, yet still losing muscle, feeling weak, or noticing that your energy just doesn't bounce back like it used to? You might be relying on classic protein sources like eggs, chicken, or dairy. But here's the surprising truth. There's one tiny nut that's outperforming eggs for protein density, and most seniors are just now discovering its power. And it's not just about protein quantity, it's about bioavailability, how your body absorbs, utilizes, and converts that protein into real strength and muscle tissue, especially after age 60. And here sits where most people go wrong. See, after the age of 50, your body undergoes a metabolic shift. You naturally begin to lose muscle mass, a condition called sarcopenia. It's not just a cosmetic issue. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It controls your blood sugar, your balance, your fat-burning capacity, and even your immune function. They think just eating more protein is the solution. But what the research shows is that not all protein sources are created equal. In fact, some common healthy proteins actually trigger low-grade inflammation, insulin spikes, or poor nitrogen retention, which leads to muscle breakdown, not repair. Now, the nut we are talking about today is instead just higher in protein per gram than eggs. And the best part, you don't need a supplement or fancy powder. This is a simple whole food you can add to your breakfast, blend into smoothies, or enjoy as a satisfying afternoon snack, especially if you're over 60 and serious about keeping your body strong, energized, and mobile. It also contains a powerful blend of essential amino acids, metabolic cofactors, and anti-inflammatory compounds that help you retain lean muscle, improve satiety, and balance your insulin response naturally. Here's SEPs. What we said you're going to unpack in today, SEPs video. How this overlooked nut beats eggs in protein density and nutrient synergy. Why most common protein foods fail to reverse muscle loss after 60. The key amino acid your muscles must have for rebuilding. And how this nut delivers it. A simple protocol for using this nut daily, without weight gain or inflammation. What research shows about seniors who add this food to their diet, and which foods to pair with it for maximum absorption and muscle retention. So, if you're tired of feeling weaker or wondering why your body isn't responding to exercise and protein the way it used to, stay with me. We're going beyond hype and getting into the real science of muscle health, metabolic repair, and how one overlooked natural food can change your aging trajectory fast. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. I post calm, science-backed videos to help you heal your metabolism, restore energy, and build strength naturally. Let's start by addressing something that frustrates millions of people over 60. You're eating more protein, but your muscles are still shrinking. You're doing your best. Maybe it's eggs for breakfast, some chicken or fish at lunch, a protein shake in the afternoon, but your legs feel weaker, your balance is worse, and recovery from activity is slower than ever. As we age, there's a sharp decline in something called anabolic sensitivity. Here's SIPTAs. What SIPTAs really going on inside your body? In younger adults, just 20 grams of protein might be enough to activate muscle protein synthesis, the process where your body takes amino acids from food and builds new muscle fibers. That simply means your muscles don't respond to protein the way they used to. But after 60, your muscle cells become more resistant to that signal. It's like trying to start a car with a weak battery. You're turning the key, but the engine just won't catch. This resistance is driven by 3 core root causes. 1, low stomach acid. Protein digestion starts in the stomach, but after 60, many people produce significantly less hydrochloric acid without enough stomach acid. Protein doesn't break down properly, and your body can't extract the amino acids it needs, even if you're eating high-quality food. 2. Insulin resistance. Yes, insulin isn't just about blood sugar, it's also one of the signals that helps shuttle amino acids into muscle cells. But with age, and especially with hidden metabolic dysfunction, your muscle cells become resistant to insulin's effects. That means fewer nutrients are absorbed where they're needed. 3. Cortisol and chronic inflammation. High cortisol from poor sleep, stress, or overtraining acts like a muscle breaker. It increases muscle catabolism, breaking down muscle for energy. Combine that with inflammation from poor food choices or gut issues, and you've got a recipe for ongoing muscle loss, no matter how much protein you eat. Now here sips the key point. I want you to remember, and that's why so many seniors feel discouraged. They're doing what they were told, just eat more protein. But they're missing the bigger picture. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. It's not just about how much protein you eat, it's about how well your body absorbs, distributes, and uses it. Think of your muscle building system like a construction site. You can bring in truckloads of bricks, protein, but if the crane operator's hormones, the construction manager insulin, and the unloading crew stomach acid aren't functioning properly, nothing gets built. The materials sit there and degrade, or worse, they get stored as fat because your body doesn't know what to do with them. This is why older adults need smarter protein, not just more protein. You need protein sources that are easily digested, rich in the right amino acids, especially leucine, and paired with nutrients that enhance absorption, anti-inflammatory. And that brings us to the nut we'll reveal shortly, because it checks every one of those boxes. If you're over 60, your protein strategy must change. But before we get there, I want to emphasize something important. This means timing protein around light resistance exercise to improve uptake. Improving your digestive fire with enzymes or apple cider vinegar, and focusing on complete anti-inflammatory proteins that deliver more than just grams, they deliver functional value to your muscles. If this is making sense so far, and you're serious about rebuilding strength and metabolic health naturally, consider subscribing. I post calm, evidence-based videos like this every day to help you stay strong, energized, and pain-free as you age without medication. Now let's move into the next section, why eggs might not be the gold standard everyone thinks they are, and how this nut stacks up in comparison. For decades, eggs have been hailed as one of the best sources of protein. And to be fair, they are a complete protein, meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids. But here, this is what most people, especially those over 60, don't realize. Just because a food is complete on paper doesn't mean your body uses it effectively. Let's take a closer look. Here sips what the research shows. Eggs offer around 6-7 grams of protein each. That seems decent, right? But we need to look beyond just grams and start focusing on amino acid quality, absorption rate, and biological impact, especially for seniors struggling with sarcopenia. Eggs are moderately high in leucine, the amino acid that triggers muscle protein synthesis, but they're not particularly leucine dense per gram. In fact, you'd need to eat 3 to 4 whole eggs to get enough leucine just to initiate the muscle building process. And that doesn't even factor in your age-related anabolic resistance. More importantly, whole eggs can stimulate insulin, particularly when eaten with toast, juice, or other breakfast carbs. And insulin spikes in an insulin-resistant body lead to fat storage, not muscle growth. Now, here's where things get interesting. A 2021 clinical review in Nutrients examined various protein sources for aging adults. They found that plant-based proteins, when selected carefully and paired correctly, can actually rival or surpass animal proteins in metabolic impact, especially when it comes to lowering inflammation, improving gut function, and supporting long-term strength. Let me explain this with a whiteboard analogy. Imagine your muscle cells are like a sponge. In your younger years, they're dry and absorbent. Drop a bit of water or amino acids, and it soaks right in. But as you age, that sponge becomes damp, resistant, and less absorbent. They don't deliver enough leucine per calorie. You now need a higher concentration of amino acids, especially leucine, to stimulate that same muscle-building response. You also need cofactors, magnesium, B vitamins, healthy fats to prime the sponge and make it receptive again. And here sits where eggs fall short for some older adults. They lack fiber, which helps regulate insulin response, and if they still not pasture-raised, they can contain pro-inflammatory omega-6 fats. Now, this doesn't mean eggs are bad. In fact, high-quality eggs, especially from pasture-raised chickens, can still be a part of a strong metabolic diet. But they may not be the best tool for the job. If your goal is to reverse sarcopenia, restore leg strength, or recover muscle faster, has a higher leucine density per gram. What you need instead is a protein source that is naturally anti-inflammatory, supports stable insulin levels, is easier to digest for aging guts, and contains additional nutrients that amplify protein synthesis like magnesium, phosphorus, and plant sterols. And yes, there is one overlooked nut that does all of this better than eggs for many seniors. It's not just about the protein numbers. It's about what your body can actually use. So what is this nut that's quietly outperforming eggs for seniors trying to rebuild strength and muscle? So in the next section, we're going to reveal the nut, look at the nutritional breakdown, and show exactly why it outperforms eggs, especially if you're over 60 and trying to maintain strength, balance, and metabolic energy. It's the humble pumpkin seed, also known as pepitas. How can a tiny seed beat a whole egg in protein? Now I know what you might be thinking, but when you break down the nutrition per gram, amino acid profile, and hormonal response, pumpkin seeds come out on top, especially for the aging body. Let's go to the whiteboard. One large egg contains about 6.3 grams of protein. Pumpkin seeds are rich in leucine, the amino acid that directly triggers muscle protein synthesis. Just 28 grams, about 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds contain 7 grams of protein. And here's the kicker. That protein is denser in leucine and comes with additional metabolic cofactors that eggs simply don't provide. Zinc, vital for testosterone production and immune function. Magnesium, over 40% of your daily need in one serving, which is crucial for ATP, cellular energy, insulin sensitivity, and muscle recovery. Plant sterols, which naturally balance hormones and lower inflammation. Now let's zoom in on why this matters so much after age 60. Healthy fats and fiber, which slow glucose absorption and stabilize insulin. As we age, our muscles become insulin resistant, meaning they don't respond as well to the hormone insulin, which normally helps shuttle amino acids into the muscle cells. Here, so it's a simple analogy. But pumpkin seeds contain magnesium and healthy fats, both of which improve insulin sensitivity. So you're not just feeding the muscle, you're unlocking the door to let the nutrients in. Imagine your muscle is a house. Protein is the groceries. Insulin is the key to the front door. Pumpkin seeds improve the key. They help insulin work better so the groceries actually get inside. In contrast, many people eating animal proteins like eggs or chicken pair them with toast, juice, or grains, which can spike insulin sharply, leading to fat storage, not muscle growth. But pumpkin seeds, when paired with healthy fats or fiber, support stable blood sugar and enhance nutrient delivery right where you need it most, your muscles. In fact, a 2022 meta-analysis in Frontiers in Nutrition found that magnesium-rich foods significantly reduce markers of insulin resistance, improved muscle performance, and even improved quality of life in older adults. And get this, pumpkin seeds also support testosterone production, naturally. Zinc and magnesium both play key roles in testosterone synthesis, which is essential for muscle retention, fat burning, mood, and libido, especially in men over 60, but also important for women. Here's tips how you can start using pumpkin seeds daily as a functional food. Morning option: add 1-2 tablespoons of raw pumpkin seeds into a smoothie or sprinkle on Greek yogurt with cinnamon to further regulate insulin. Lunch or snack: before light resistance training, Use them as a crunchy topping on a salad, paired with olive oil and leafy greens. The healthy fats improve absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Eat a tablespoon 30 minutes before strength training. The amino acids and magnesium will support performance and muscle repair. Just 2 tablespoons per day can make a significant difference when used consistently. If you're concerned about calories or fat, remember this. Fat is not your enemy if it's coming from whole, anti-inflammatory sources. In fact, the healthy fats in pumpkin seeds slow digestion, keep insulin low, and reduce cravings later in the day.